Ladies and gentlemen, this is Napoleon Hill speaking to you. The year is 1952, and I stand before you with knowledge acquired through decades of studying the most successful men of our time. From my conversations with Andrew Carnegie to my studies of Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, and hundreds of America's most prosperous individuals, I have distilled principles that transcend time itself. Today, I wish to speak to you about a fundamental truth that many fail to recognize. You owe it to yourself to become all that you are capable of becoming. The greatest disservice you can do in this life is to deny yourself the opportunity to reach your full potential. Whether you are listening to this recording today or decades from now, know that these principles of success are timeless. The human mind, with its infinite capacity for achievement, operates on the same principles regardless of the era. So let us begin this journey together as I share with you why you owe it to yourself to pursue greatness. Before we can discuss what you owe to yourself, we must understand the foundation upon which all achievement is built. In my research spanning over 25 years, interviewing more than 500 of the most successful individuals of our time, I discovered that success begins with a state of mind. You see, when Mr. Carnegie commissioned me to undertake this research in 1908, he insisted that I discover the formula that could be used by the average person to gain wealth and personal achievement. What I found was that success is not reserved for the privileged few. It is available to anyone who understands and applies certain principles. The first principle is this: you must develop a definite purpose. Without a clear destination, you are like a ship without a rudder, drifting aimlessly at sea. I have never known a successful person who did not have a clear purpose driving their actions. Consider my friend Henry Ford. When he set out to create an automobile that the average American could afford, many laughed at his vision. Horseless carriages are toys for the wealthy, they said, but Ford had a definite purpose. And that purpose guided every decision he made until the Model T became a reality that transformed our nation. You owe it to yourself to discover your definite purpose, not the purpose others have chosen for you, but the burning desire within your own heart. What would you do if you knew you could not fail? What one great thing would you dare to dream if you knew success was guaranteed? The second foundation is the development of a positive mental attitude. Your mind is a powerful force, capable of transforming thought into physical reality. When you maintain a positive mental attitude, you attract positive circumstances and individuals who can help you achieve your goals. I have observed that failure and success are separated by the thinnest of margins, and that margin is often simply attitude. Two individuals may face identical circumstances, yet one succeeds while the other fails, all because of how they choose to perceive and respond to those circumstances. You owe it to yourself to guard your thoughts vigilantly. The mind is like fertile soil. It does not care what kind of seeds you plant. It will return what you sow. Plant thoughts of doubt, fear, and limitation, and you will harvest circumstances that reflect those thoughts. But plant thoughts of possibility, confidence, and abundance, and your life will blossom accordingly. Now let us discuss the virtue of self-reliance. In this modern age of 1952, I observe a troubling trend toward dependency. Too many individuals look to others, be it the government, their employer, or their family, to secure their future. This dependency weakens the very faculties that lead to success. Ralph Waldo Emerson, whose essay on self-reliance I greatly admire, wrote, "The power which resides in him is new in nature, and none but he knows what that is which he can do, nor does he know until he has tried." You owe it to yourself to develop self-reliance. This does not mean you must accomplish everything alone. Indeed, the principle of the Mastermind Alliance, which I will discuss shortly, proves the contrary. Rather, it means taking responsibility for your own destiny. Consider this: every adversity carries within it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. When you face obstacles, and you will face many, do not look to others to remove them. Instead, look within for the strength and wisdom to overcome them or to find the opportunity hidden within them. During the Great Depression, which many of you listening today will remember, countless Americans lost everything. Some never recovered, spending the remainder of their days lamenting their misfortune. Others, however, use this adversity as fuel to create new opportunities. My own life has been marked by significant setbacks. After completing the manuscript for The Law of Success in 1925, I faced the devastating loss of all my possessions. I could have surrendered to despair, but instead, I chose to see this as an opportunity to refine my philosophy further. This led to the creation of Think and Grow Rich, which has now helped millions find their path to success. You owe it to yourself to embrace adversity as your teacher. When you develop this habit, you will never again fear what tomorrow may bring, for you will know that within every challenge lies the seed of an equal or greater opportunity. While self-reliance is essential, no great achievement is accomplished in isolation. This brings us to one of the most powerful principles I have discovered, the master mind. The mastermind principle states that when two or more minds come together in a spirit of perfect harmony for the pursuit of a definite purpose, they create a third invisible force which may be likened to a third mind. This mastermind holds power far beyond what any individual mind could achieve alone. I observed this principle in action among all the successful men I studied. Thomas Edison maintained a group of trusted associates with whom he could discuss his ideas. Henry Ford, despite having limited formal education, surrounded himself with brilliant minds who could supply the knowledge he lacked. You owe it to yourself to carefully select those with whom you associate. Your mind naturally adapts to the dominant thoughts of those around you. If you surround yourself with negative, limited thinkers, your own thoughts will be pulled in that direction. But when you associate with positive, achievement-oriented individuals, your thinking will be elevated. In practical terms, this means you must be deliberate about forming your own mastermind alliance. Identify individuals who possess knowledge, experience, or qualities that complement your own. Approach them with a clear proposal of how you might work together toward mutually beneficial goals. The mastermind principle operates whether you consciously apply it or not. Those who drift into associations without purpose often find themselves part of a negative mastermind that pulls them down rather than lifts them up. You owe it to yourself to ensure that the collective mental forces acting upon you are positive and directed toward your definite purpose. Let me share a personal example. When I began my research at Mr. Carnegie's request, I had limited resources and connections. By forming a mastermind alliance with successful individuals who believed in my mission, I gained access to knowledge, introductions, and opportunities that would have otherwise been unavailable to me. Without this alliance, the philosophy I share with you today might never have come to fruition. Now let us discuss a principle that separates the extraordinary from the ordinary, the habit of going the extra mile. Going the extra mile means rendering more service and better service than you are paid for. It means doing all that is expected of you, and then some. This habit creates a favorable impression in the minds of others and sets in motion forces that eventually bring back rewards far out of proportion to the additional service rendered. In my research, I found that every single successful individual I studied had developed this habit early in their career. They did not wait until they received recognition or additional compensation before giving their best. They gave their best first, and the recognition and compensation followed as a natural result. You owe it to yourself to develop this habit immediately, regardless of your current position. If you work for wages, make yourself so valuable to your employer that they cannot get along without you. If you are in business for yourself, provide your customers with service so outstanding that they become walking advertisements for your enterprise. Consider the case of my friend Edward Bach, who rose from a poor immigrant boy to become editor of the Ladies' Home Journal. When he began as an office boy, he noticed that the water coolers were refilled only once a day, often leaving workers without water in the afternoon. Without being asked, he began refilling the coolers himself during his lunch hour. This small act of going the extra mile caught the attention of his superiors and marked the beginning of his rapid advancement. The psychology behind this principle is sound. When you go the extra mile, you develop greater skill and knowledge through the additional practice. You attract favorable attention from those who can help you. And perhaps most importantly, you develop a consciousness of achievement that builds self-confidence and destroys fear. You owe it to yourself to make this habit a cornerstone of your philosophy of life. It is the starting point of all outstanding achievement. The human mind is the most powerful force available to mankind, yet few learn to use it effectively. Let us discuss two critical aspects of mental mastery: controlled attention and accurate thinking. Controlled attention is the ability to direct your mind toward a desired goal and hold it there until you have achieved that goal. It is the ability to focus your thoughts on one subject to the exclusion of all else. This faculty separates the achiever from the dreamer. Thomas Edison once told me that his greatest asset was his ability to concentrate on one problem incessantly until he found a solution. During the development of the incandescent light bulb, he conducted over 10,000 experiments before finding success. Such persistence would be impossible without controlled attention. You owe it to yourself to develop this faculty through daily practice. Begin by setting aside periods of time, even if only 15 minutes at first, during which you will focus completely on one task or thought without allowing distractions. With practice, your capacity for controlled attention will grow, as will your ability to achieve your goals. Equally important is the development of accurate thinking. This requires separating facts from mere information, and further separating facts into two categories: important and unimportant. Most people allow their thinking to be influenced by gossip, propaganda, and the opinions of others, rather than basing their decisions on verified facts. Accurate thinking also requires balancing the faculties of creative imagination and synthetic judgment. The creative imagination allows you to visualize new possibilities, while synthetic judgment helps you determine which of these possibilities are practical and worthy of pursuit. You owe it to yourself to become a master of your own mind. When you control your attention and think accurately, you gain power that cannot be taken from you under any circumstances. Earlier, I mentioned the importance of having a definite purpose. Now let us explore this principle more deeply, for it is truly the starting point of all achievement. Definiteness of purpose involves knowing exactly what you want and having a clear plan for obtaining it. This clarity acts as a magnet, drawing to you the people, circumstances, and opportunities needed for the fulfillment of your desire. Consider this: the moment you reach a definite decision about what you want from life, you set in motion forces, both seen and unseen, that work on your behalf. Your subconscious mind begins to direct your actions toward the fulfillment of your purpose. Opportunities that previously went unnoticed suddenly become visible to you. I have observed that successful people make decisions quickly and change them slowly, if at all. Unsuccessful people make decisions slowly and change them frequently. This difference stems from definiteness of purpose. When you know precisely what you want, decisions become easier because you simply ask yourself, will this move me closer to or further from my goal? You owe it to yourself to define your purpose with such clarity that you could explain it to another person in a single sentence. Write it down, read it aloud each morning and evening, and keep it at the forefront of your mind throughout the day. My friend Andrew Carnegie once shared with me that when he was a young man, he wrote down his definite major purpose: to organize the first billion-dollar corporation in the world, and carried this written statement with him at all times. He would read it just before going to sleep at night and upon awakening in the morning. Eventually, this purpose became so deeply embedded in his subconscious mind that it influenced every decision he made. Definiteness of purpose provides the foundation for peace of mind. When you know where you are going and have a plan for getting there, you eliminate the anxiety that comes from drifting aimlessly through life. Now we come to two of the most powerful emotions that influence human achievement: faith and fear. These opposing forces determine whether you will move forward toward your goals or remain paralyzed by inaction. Faith is a state of mind that may be developed through autosuggestion, the principle of communicating with your subconscious mind. When you repeatedly affirm a belief and emotionalize that affirmation, it gradually becomes accepted by your subconscious mind and influences your actions. The object of your faith is less important than the faith itself. I have observed individuals achieve remarkable success through faith in God, faith in themselves, faith in others, or faith in a combination of these. The essential factor is that faith eliminates the negative influence of doubt and fear. You owe it to yourself to develop unwavering faith in your ability to achieve your definite purpose. This faith must be based not on wishing, but on understanding the principles of achievement and applying them consistently. Fear, on the other hand, is faith in reverse. It is faith in the thing you do not want. The 6 basic fears that hold people back are the fear of poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death. These fears exist only in your mind, yet they can have devastating effects on your life if left unchecked. The antidote to fear is action. When you take action toward your goals despite feeling afraid, you prove to yourself that your fears are unfounded. Each time you face a fear and move forward anyway, that particular fear loses some of its power over you. You owe it to yourself to analyze your fears objectively. Ask yourself, what is the worst that can possibly happen if I fail? Then prepare mentally to accept the worst if necessary. Finally, devote your energy to improving upon the worst-case scenario. This simple process will free you from the paralysis of fear and allow you to take constructive action. Let us now discuss a habit that is essential for financial independence, the habit of saving a portion of all income received. In my studies of successful individuals, I observed that they invariably develop the habit of saving early in life. This habit serves 2 vital purposes. First, it provides a financial reserve for emergencies and opportunities. Second, and perhaps more importantly, it develops the self-discipline necessary for achievement in all areas of life. The amount you save is less important than the regularity with which you save. Even if you can set aside only a few dollars from each paycheck, the act of doing so consistently establishes a pattern of self-discipline that will serve you in every endeavor. You owe it to yourself to begin this habit immediately, regardless of your current financial situation. If you are in debt, allocate a portion of your income to debt reduction and another portion, however small, to savings. This dual approach will accelerate your journey to financial freedom while building the habit of saving. I recommend establishing a definite percentage of your income, no less than 10%, to be saved before any other expenditures are made. Treat this allocation as your most important financial obligation, for in truth, it is an obligation to your future self. The psychological effect of this habit cannot be overstated. When you know you have a growing financial reserve, you develop a sense of security and confidence that influences all your actions. You make decisions based on what is best rather than what is expedient. You negotiate from a position of strength rather than weakness. In this modern age of 1952, we have financial institutions that make saving easier than ever before. Take advantage of these resources, but remember that the habit itself, the decision to pay yourself first, is more important than the particular method you use. General knowledge, no matter how great in quantity, has little value in the accumulation of wealth or the achievement of any definite purpose. To succeed, you must acquire specialized knowledge related to your particular field of endeavor. In this age of rapid advancement, specialized knowledge becomes outdated quickly. Therefore, you must commit to continuous learning throughout your life. The successful person is not necessarily the one who knows the most, but rather the one who knows where to find the knowledge needed at a particular time. You owe it to yourself to develop expertise in your chosen field. This does not always require formal education. Many of the most successful individuals I studied had little schooling but developed systems for acquiring the specific knowledge they needed. Henry Ford, who had minimal formal education, maintained a staff of highly educated individuals who could supply any specialized knowledge he required. When questioned during a lawsuit about his lack of general knowledge, Ford famously replied that he could press a button on his desk and summon individuals who could answer any question about his business. His specialized knowledge was knowing which button to press. There are 2 primary ways to acquire specialized knowledge: through your own experience and education, or through the mastermind alliance I discussed earlier. The most efficient approach combines both methods. Learn all you can personally while also drawing upon the knowledge and experience of others. You owe it to yourself to become a lifelong student. Read books related to your field, attend lectures and seminars, seek mentorship from those who have achieved what you wish to achieve. In this way, you can compress decades of experience into a few years of focused study. The human imagination is the workshop where all plans are created. It comes in 2 forms: synthetic imagination, which rearranges existing concepts into new combinations, and creative imagination, which connects with infinite intelligence to receive new ideas. Every man-made item around you began as a thought in someone's imagination. The clothes you wear, the chair you sit in, the radio through which you may be hearing my voice, all were first conceived in the mind before they became physical reality. You owe it to yourself to develop your imagination through regular exercise. Set aside time each day to visualize your definite purpose as already achieved. See yourself in possession of the wealth, position, or other goal you desire. Feel the emotions you would experience upon achieving your goal. This practice serves two purposes. First, it programs your subconscious mind to recognize and act upon opportunities related to your goal. Second, it develops your faculty of imagination, making it stronger and more accessible when you need it to solve problems or create new possibilities. The great inventors, artists, and business leaders I studied all possessed highly developed imaginations. Thomas Edison would often sit in his laboratory, eyes closed, seemingly doing nothing. In reality, he was using his imagination to visualize solutions to complex problems. In practical terms, you can stimulate your imagination by exposing yourself to new ideas through reading, conversation with stimulating individuals, travel to unfamiliar places, and deliberate consideration of problems from multiple perspectives. Remember that your imagination is most active when your body is at rest and your conscious mind is relaxed. Many great ideas come during periods of light physical activity, such as walking, or during the twilight state between wakefulness and sleep. Enthusiasm is the vital force that energizes your actions and influences others to cooperate with you. It comes from the Greek word entheos, meaning God within. And truly, enthusiasm has a divine quality that transforms ordinary efforts into extraordinary achievements. You cannot fake enthusiasm. It must come from within, from a genuine belief in what you are doing. When you have a definite purpose that excites you, enthusiasm flows naturally. This enthusiasm becomes contagious, inspiring others to join in your efforts. You owe it to yourself to cultivate enthusiasm by focusing on the aspects of your work that you find most meaningful. If you cannot be enthusiastic about your current occupation, either find elements within it that do inspire you, or begin planning your transition to work that aligns with your passions. Closely related to enthusiasm is personal initiative, the power to take action without being told to do so. This quality is so rare that it is among the most valuable assets you can develop. Most individuals wait for someone else to tell them what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. The person who exercises personal initiative stands out immediately. Personal initiative means recognizing what needs to be done and doing it without being asked. It means going beyond the call of duty not occasionally, but as a regular practice. It means starting now, not waiting for conditions to be perfect. You owe it to yourself to develop the habit of taking immediate action on your plans and ideas. Ideas have a short shelf life. They must be acted upon quickly, or they lose their potency. When you have an inspiration, move on it immediately, even if your first steps are small. I have observed that successful people make a habit of doing things that failures don't like to do. They don't necessarily enjoy these tasks either, but their dislike is subordinated to the strength of their purpose. This is personal initiative in action, doing what needs to be done regardless of whether it is convenient or pleasant. No discussion of what you owe to yourself would be complete without addressing the importance of physical health. Your body is the vehicle through which you experience life and pursue your goals. Neglecting its care undermines all your other efforts. The relationship between physical health and mental efficiency is direct and immediate. When your body is functioning optimally, your mind is sharper, your emotions are more balanced, and your energy for achievement is greater. You owe it to yourself to develop habits that promote health and vitality. These include proper nutrition, regular physical activity, adequate rest, and moderation in all things. The specific details of these practices may evolve as medical science advances, but the principles remain constant. In my observations of successful individuals, I notice that they typically maintain regular habits. They eat at consistent times, exercise routinely, and follow a regular sleep schedule. This regularity allows their bodies to function efficiently and frees their minds to focus on their work. Physical activity is particularly important for mental clarity. A brisk walk outdoors can do more to stimulate creative thinking than hours of sitting at a desk. Many of the great thinkers I studied made walking a daily habit, using this time for reflection and problem solving. You owe it to yourself to treat your body as the precious instrument it is. This does not mean you must become an athlete or follow extreme regimens. Rather, it means making conscious choices that support your health and avoiding habits that undermine it. Remember that health is not merely the absence of illness, but a positive state of physical, mental, and emotional well-being. When you achieve this state, you have the foundation for all other achievements. Now, let us discuss the force that shapes our lives more than perhaps any other, the power of habit. Habits are the threads that form the fabric of our character and destiny. They begin as single acts, become repeated actions, and eventually govern our lives almost automatically. The great news is that habits can be chosen and developed deliberately. You owe it to yourself to become the architect of your habits rather than their victim. This requires understanding how habits are formed and applying that knowledge to create patterns that serve your definite purpose. All habits, whether positive or negative, follow the same pattern: trigger, routine, and reward. The trigger is the situation that initiates the habit, the routine is the behavior itself, and the reward is the benefit you receive that reinforces the habit. To develop a new habit, begin by identifying a specific trigger, a time of day, a particular location, or an existing habit to which you can attach the new behavior. Then, define the routine clearly and make it as easy as possible to perform, especially in the beginning. Finally, ensure there is an immediate reward that makes the habit satisfying. For example, if you wish to develop the habit of daily planning, you might use your morning coffee as the trigger, keep your planning journal next to the coffee pot, and reward yourself with a moment of satisfaction as you visualize your day unfolding successfully. The most effective approach is to focus on developing one habit at a time until it becomes automatic before moving on to the next. Attempting to change too many behaviors simultaneously often leads to failure in all of them. You owe it to yourself to be patient during this process. Research in our modern laboratories suggests that it takes approximately 21 days of consistent practice for a new habit to begin taking root, and longer for it to become fully established. Do not be discouraged by occasional lapses. Simply return to the practice immediately and continue forward. As we near the conclusion of our discussion, I must emphasize the foundation upon which all lasting success is built: character. Character is the sum total of your habits, attitudes, and values. It is who you are when no one is watching. In my research, I found that truly successful individuals, those who maintain their success in the respect of others, possess strong character founded on integrity, honesty, and reliability. You owe it to yourself to develop a character so strong that you would not hesitate to recommend yourself for any position or opportunity. This requires rigorous self-examination and the courage to acknowledge and correct your weaknesses. The development of character begins with establishing clear values, principles that guide your decisions and actions regardless of circumstances. These might include honesty, responsibility, loyalty, fairness, and respect for others. Once established, these values must be maintained even when doing so is difficult or costly. Consider the case of my friend Edward Bach, whom I mentioned earlier. When he became editor of the Ladies' Home Journal, he made the controversial decision to refuse advertising for patent medicines, which were highly profitable but often harmful to consumers. This decision cost the magazine hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue, but established its reputation for integrity, which proved far more valuable in the long term. You owe it to yourself to make decisions based on principle rather than expediency. When faced with an ethical dilemma, ask yourself not, "What will others think?" but, "What kind of person do I want to be?" This focus on character rather than reputation leads to decisions you will never regret. Remember that character is revealed most clearly under pressure. Anyone can maintain integrity when the path is easy, but your true character emerges when you must choose between what is right and what is convenient, profitable, or popular. We have covered much ground in our discussion of what you owe to yourself. Let me now bring these principles together into a cohesive philosophy. You owe it to yourself to discover your definite purpose and pursue it with unwavering determination. You owe it to yourself to develop a positive mental attitude that attracts favorable circumstances. You owe it to yourself to form a mastermind alliance with those who can help you achieve your goals. You owe it to yourself to go the extra mile in all your endeavors, developing the habit of doing more than is expected. You owe it to yourself to master your mind through controlled attention and accurate thinking. You owe it to yourself to cultivate faith in your ability to succeed and to overcome the fears that would hold you back. You owe it to yourself to save a portion of all you earn, building financial security and self-discipline simultaneously. You owe it to yourself to acquire specialized knowledge in your field and to develop your imagination through regular exercise. You owe it to yourself to approach your work with enthusiasm and to take initiative without waiting to be told what to do. You owe it to yourself to maintain your physical health as the foundation for all other achievements. You owe it to yourself to deliberately create habits that serve your purpose rather than hinder it. And perhaps most importantly, you owe it to yourself to develop a character of such strength and integrity that you can face yourself in the mirror each morning without shame or regret. My friends, whether you are listening to this in my present year of 1952 or at some point in the distant future, know that these principles are timeless. The technology around you may change, the specific opportunities available to you may evolve, but the fundamental laws of success remain constant. You have within you right now everything you need to achieve greatness. The power of your mind, properly directed, can overcome any obstacle and achieve any reasonable goal. You owe it to yourself to develop and use this power. I leave you with this final thought. The greatest waste in the world is the difference between what you are now and what you might become. You owe it to yourself to close that gap. This is Napoleon Hill, wishing you not just success, but the wisdom to use that success for the benefit of yourself and humanity.